All right, Dr. D, this is my friend Dave, and this is for our
Here's how it
this is for our Hacking Urban Space project. Okay. All right, Dave. So I'm taking so I'm an anthropology student at Western. Okay, and I'm taking a course with this professor. He's a nice guy. Sometimes he may seem like he's a little bit crazy, but when you start looking into his assignments, there's a point to all of them, right?
Sure.
So he's got this this assignment he gave us this year. It's called Hacking the Urban. So it's an exercise in repurposing city space. Okay, and when I was thinking about what I was gonna do for this project, I didn't know. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. Right. He gave us an example. For example, what other people in North America have done for projects similar to this, right? Mm-hmm. And he says here that throughout many American cities, telephone booths that were once that had telephones on city streets have been abandoned by phone companies, especially with all the cell phones now, right? Mm-hmm. And what groups have done, for example, is they've filled these phone booths with books, okay? And like they're like little lending libraries, right? So so people go there, take a book, and whatnot, right?
Cool.
Which, yeah, it's a cool idea. So essentially, what people have done is they've transformed, urban space, right? Mm-hmm. So I didn't know at first what I was going to do for this, but then I'd driven by you many times, and you're usually on what's it called?
Yeah, I lay Oxford on the median.
On the median there, and you usually have a sign up.
Yeah,
show
let's show
me
the professor's sign.
Sure.
It's a little, don't take offense to it there, Professor, because it is a little silly, but so many people take it that it's a very depressing thing that I have to do to try and make money, so I tried to make light of it.
Yeah.
The best way I knew how, which is this sign here.
It's cool. I mean, that's one of the first things when I saw it. I read it. I started laughing. I said, "This guy's insane," right? But
Yeah,
but it made me laugh, and it was cool, and it made me think about you that night when I went home, and then I thought about you again the next day until I looked for you and I found you, right? So the way I see he gave us several assignments throughout the course, and as I was doing the assignments, I didn't really know in a way what the purpose of them was. But the way, my professor's name is Dr. D, the way Dr. D's assignments work is when you first see them, at least the instructions, you don't really, that's why I told you, I was like, this guy's crazy, I don't understand what he wants me to get out of this. But when you do the assignment and you go through the process of doing it, and you finish it, then you understand what it was that you were, what he wanted you to see or he wanted you to learn, right?
Yeah.
Like this one as well. So at first I was like, I don't understand. He already gave us this really cool idea about how people have transformed telephone booths into libraries. I mean, how can you top that, right? You can't, and you probably can't. But his whole course is about seeing a city and seeing that a city has different layers.
Right.
Cities have layers, according to what we've been learning from Dr. D and what we've learned from the text he's given us. You can see cities differently, and the layers of the city sometimes include the people that are in the city, and people can be layers too because people can see things differently. Like, I'll give you an example. I went to my daughter's school, and I asked the teacher if the kids could draw me or give me a list of pros and cons type things about the city of London, or how they viewed the city of London. And I'll just give you an example. Almost every single one of the kids, in some things that they thought problematic with the city or disliked, they had homeless people, and they said that they didn't like having homeless people, and that they thought that was a problem for the city, right? Mm-hmm. And like you told me, you're homeless,
I'm
right?
a homeless person, yeah.
You're homeless, right? But what I got from this was even kids, even though they don't know what it is that they're seeing, they realize that there are different layers to a city. That there's the layer where they live, and having a home and somewhere to sleep at night, and hot food, and they see the layer of the people that don't have these necessities, right?
Right.
So
Just because they look different, they know that somebody's dressed like me. Okay, I guess I look homeless, whereas somebody who's dressed in Echo and FUBU and what have you, they know, okay, well, he's probably, got a nice place to live. But that, things change, because growing up, I was the son of a well-to-do psychiatrist in the city. I grew up surrounded by doctors and lawyers, but it just shows you that, and up until 2009, had a wife, kids, plate, house. That's just how fast things can change for you, because, the circumstances in life always, how do you put it, life's a big circle, and it's always moving, and sometimes the way it moves up, or sometimes it can move down, or depending on, what you do and how things, your work, if you've got a job or if you don't, or like I said, just things can change.
Do you, like, for example, some of the kids here, look at how it's just by seeing the way somebody sees a city, it tells you a lot about how they experience it, right?
Mm-hmm.
For example, this kid here says that my experience in the city. This is what, and when I had them do it, I only had them number it. No gender, no names, nothing, because I don't care about that.
Mm-hmm.
Just a person, how a person sees the city, right? And essentially, that's how we should see it. It's people within a city, right? Men and women, children, people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this person's likes about their city is they like the internet. Just that alone tells you, for somebody to be able to afford their internet, they must come from at least some form of privilege, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, internet's expensive, right?
For sure.
Parks. This person likes the malls, restaurants, festivals. I don't even know what that says, but this one here, I don't know. Something about country. People.
Oh, free country.
Free country. They like the fact that it's a free country.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We'll talk about that after. And this person says that they like people helping homeless people. Movie theaters, concerts, parades, camps, technology, museum, and sports fields. That's what this person likes. What they don't like are drug dealers, doing drugs, smoking, violence, bullying, dog waste, again, homeless people, traffic, construction, littering, pollution, robberies, vandalism, and they don't like the construction going on in the city.
Mm.
So you can see here, just based on how this person sees a city. I mean, it's interesting to see how this person likes the fact that people help homeless people,
Mm-hmm.
which leads me to assume that perhaps their parents, do something, or
Mm-hmm.
or they've been taught, that this person clearly to me has a good understanding that a city has different levels, different,
Yeah.
And what I'm interested in knowing from you is, how do you see the city? So if I were to go to your school, if you were, an adult in school right now,
Mm-hmm.
and I've asked you to give me a list like this, what would you like or dislike about this city?
Wow, that's pretty good, because I definitely, the likes, I wouldn't have thought of the internet, because
Mm-hmm.
I have very little access to computers. Parks for sure, yeah,
But why do you like a park? I'm assuming this child likes a park because he goes to play there.
Mm-hmm. I like a park just because it's green space.
Okay.
And it's quiet, and it's a place where you can go and just be alone, and you don't have to think about what per se. Well, like you said, you drove past me, you see me doing this. I can forget about this for an hour, or forget about, okay, I'm hungry, or forget about, okay, where am I? Which place am I gonna go and sleep at tonight? Or, am I hungry? How long am I gonna be? No, I can just go, and even like you said, sit on a swing and just swing on that and forget that, I'm homeless. Mm-hmm. And it's, that's a big thing for somebody in my spot, is just to be able to have some peace and a little bit of tranquility in your life, because most of the time you're surrounded by, well, it's kind of sad to say, but since they've cut back all the fundings for LPH and that, these people are now
What's
in
LPH?
homeless shelter, London Psychiatric Hospital.
Okay.
Like since they were the mission and places like that are becoming new, don't like to use the word loony bins.
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding that over the last year or so, more and more mentally disabled people are coming into these places, and when you're surrounded by those kind of people, it's hard on your mental stability, because they're screaming or talking to themselves or just being strange to me. So it's to be able to go somewhere quiet and just think and be away from that's a big thing.
What do you, as a homeless person, how do you see? Why do you think there's so many homeless people in London? Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the lack of jobs and the way the welfare system's set up, and it makes it hard for somebody to survive on their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm homeless in the shelter system, is because for me a rooming house is not an option. I need to have a place that's by myself where, because I don't get along well with a lot of people, and rooming houses are designed to put the most amount of people into the smallest space, so that landlord gets the most amount of money for the least amount of space.
Right.
And it just creates problems, and the way the welfare system's set up, that's all you can afford if you want to be able to eat. And if a person has any type of an addiction on top of that, well then they're either out stealing or robbing or something along those lines to support that, and then you've got your jails full. That's why jails out there is full, and
See, because I think what a lot of people don't understand, and what the times we've met and we've talked, what a lot of people in this city don't realize that they're in a very privileged situation. Dr. D, our professor, has told us several times in class for us to look around, and that everybody in that lecture hall is among some of the most privileged people in the world to be able to receive a university education. I mean, everybody in that room is privileged, and I think that a lot of people in this city forget how privileged they are, and they see the city as almost like this fantasy place where everything's okay and everything's good and everything in this city functions the way things function at the university, for example, where everybody has money in their pockets to go buy a sub at Subway at lunch, you know what I mean, or go to the Spoke, to the university bar and drink a beer after.
for sure.
They don't realize that there's people in the city who simply don't have the ability to do these things.
That's right.
And even if they do realize it, they forget about it, and I was concerned today in the car on the drive here when you told me about, and if you could share with Dr. D and whoever, what you were telling me about what they're thinking of doing to the homeless shelters, and why you think that's going to be problematic.
Well, the government's city council, and I'm not sure if it's the provincial government, but the city council has decided that as it is now, a person can spend 45 days there's 3 separate shelters. There's the Unity Project, the Men's Mission, and the Salvation Army Center of Hope. And you can go to, say, the Unity, you spend 45 days there, and then you can go to the Mission, spend another 45 days there, and then go to the Salvation Army, and you can work it in a circuit. And what they want to do is they want to stop that. You can go to, say, the Unity Project. You stay there for 45 days, and then you have to be out of the shelter system for 4 months before you can go back to a shelter again. And the thing that I see happening is the City of London becoming more like the City of Toronto, and you're going to see people sleeping in bus shelters, city park benches, anywhere that there's a space, and we're going to see a lot of people that I call friends dying in the cold. And I don't see any need or reason with the resources the city has for this to be taking place. It makes no sense to me.
So essentially the city's gonna cut the funding, per se, right, to these missions, and then we're gonna see a flood of homeless people on the streets in Canadian winters.
Mm-hmm.
Most likely there's gonna be a few fatalities.
The thing that you were saying to me, you just mentioned when you were talking about the professor and all the people having the privilege of the education, and like you said, you don't see the homeless people unless, like you said, you saw me with the sign.
That's right.
And people they react differently. Some people react, and other people look at you and give you the dirty look and drive past you, and it's all part of it, and I understand it. Like you said, people don't want to see that.
No.
They don't want to know that we exist. But when this funding takes place, the cuts takes place, you're going to have no choice because they're going to be everywhere. People are going to see this stuff a lot more, and it's a sad thing because London is, like you said, almost like a fantasy place. Okay, seeing me a couple times a week standing on the median holding a sign, a silly sign, and getting a few handouts from people here and there. Okay, that's one thing. But when you're walking down the street and you see somebody sleeping in a bus shelter or under a bridge, or they're making their home down by the river, and people that are walking their dogs are walking past and seeing somebody urinating in the bushes, or it's going to make this city look a lot dirtier, and it's not going to be like you said, the fantasy place where you live and you don't have to see the dirty side of the city. Where like Toronto, like you said, it's a very prevalent thing where the homeless sleep wherever, and people in the wintertime you see that van drives around down there and drops sleeping bags and whatever to the homeless to try and make sure that they're not freezing.
I think essentially what we're getting at is there's no need for London to get to that point.
No.
London, I mean, you look around this city, Dave, and I see it all the time. You see Maseratis, Lamborghinis, Aston Martins driving down the city. There's money in this city. There's lots of money in this city. And, like you said, if people don't want, in Toronto, for example, directly in front of the Eaton Centre, which holds one of the most expensive retail stores in Canada, Holt Renfrew. I mean, there's moisturizing creams in there that go up for $500, right? Mm-hmm. Just outside the entrance to the mall, there's a homeless person most likely sleeping in front of it in a sleeping bag asking for money. Mm-hmm. Unless the people of the City of London want a homeless person sleeping on a sleeping bag in front of Masonville Mall, that's exactly what they're going to get if this funding gets cut off, right? Mm-hmm. And I think exactly. a lot, and it's not necessarily just the funding. I think it's also, like I said earlier, look, I know that there's homeless people that exist in this city, but the very fact that I come from that I'm in a position of privilege, and I'm not a rich man, the privilege is to have somewhere to sleep at night. Privilege is to be able. I mean, I have internet at home. Mm-hmm. Privilege is I have hot meals every day. That's privilege. Those aren't luxuries. Those are privileges. You know what I mean? And even though I understand that people like yourself exist, I don't think about you unless I see you. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So I think that what you do, yes, it benefits you, right? Obviously, but I think that even the fact that you caught my attention, and then my cousin here filming this caught her attention probably by what she's doing now, and then Dr. D's gonna see this. You know what I mean? Just that's three people right there that perhaps if we forgot that you exist, we don't anymore. You know, because it's there. So okay, so like I was telling you, this is my idea, Dave. You tell me what you think, right? So like I said, I'm gonna stand with maybe a couple of friends of mine throughout the city, not just on one corner, on many corners on the city, right? With signs that look like yours but say something different. What my signs are gonna say is there's homeless people, something along these lines. There's homeless people in these cities. These people sleep in these shelters, you know? If you see a homeless person, asking for money, if you don't want to give it to them, right? Because whatever, you think they're gonna use it on booze or on dope or on smokes, whatever you want, even though it's not your prerogative, right? But whatever. But if you take some money, take some food, and take it to the homeless shelters that are going to be listed on my signs. Take it there. These people will take care of these people. You're going to feel, if you want to feel better about yourself, you will. You know what I mean? If you want to wash your hands from this problem and say, I'm giving directly to them, you will, Just because, like you were saying, sometimes people are reluctant to give money or give it because they think, well, this person is lazy, they're just asking for money. But like we were talking in the car, Dave, people don't know that for somebody to be able to stand on a street corner, lots of things had to happen for them to get to that point. Because I'm sure nobody in this world wants to be out on a street corner like you in the cold asking complete strangers for money. Something had to have happened that led up to that, right?
Sure.
It's not my business nor anybody else's business to understand or know why that is, right? But I think that as a human community, as people, as a city, we have a responsibility, to take care of each other. And if you don't want to
help each other.
Yeah, and if you don't want to take care of somebody individually, well then take care of people collectively. Take the money or whatever you're going to donate and take it to these places. And if the only reason you want to do this is because you don't want to see a homeless person sleeping outside of Masonville in a sleeping bag, if you want to keep this city, like this magical places, like this Disneyland that everybody thinks London is, then do it for that. Even if you don't want to do it for the humanitarian reasons, do it because you're going to keep your city looking aesthetically nice, clean, like you said.
So you don't have to see this side of it.
No, exactly. Yeah. Even though this side exists, you know what I mean? Fine. Even if just do it for that. Yeah. So this is the way that I want to transform urban space, Dave. I want to do what you do, but I want to do it all over the city with a lot of friends that come from that are in privileged places like I am right now. And I want other people of privilege to understand that if I can see it, then they can see it, And essentially, if we're all gonna help each other, Dave, And what do you think of my idea of transformation?
I find myself. I think it's fucking awesome, buddy.
You gonna help me?
Yeah. Anything I can do to help you, my friend.
Yeah.
Not a problem. Done.
Cool. So I think that thanks for helping me understand, because you've helped me understand the city from a different layer, Dave, from a different perspective, from the layer in which you exist, and that I exist out of, So we're gonna be friends for a long time, you know what I mean?
I hope so. I really hope so.
All right, let's go out for lunch, bro, and then say bye to Dr. D.
Dr. D, be cool, man.